Yee.
Shape my dreams with data and drive. In the eRank's scene, this place feels alive. Help them sellers shine, reaching new heights. Join the team where the future ignites. Sellers in control, watch their sales grow. Empowered to win with eRank we flow.
Hello, eRank! Yay! And welcome to our first webinar of the year and Brian's first webinar. We'll be starting this
tool webinar.
Keyword tool webinar. Yes, thank you very much. We'll be starting this in a few minutes. Give the stragglers time to get in. But yeah, so introduce yourselves and let us know where you're from and what you're hoping to get out of this. What are your issues with keywords and everything? Yeah, I see we have quite a few people in already. We've got Debbie, as ever. Hello, our wonderful moderator. Cognito Zuzana from sunny Spain. Fantastic. Marlene, and I'm sorry, I'm not.
Ruben.
Oh, is that right? I'm really bad with names anyway. So yeah. Hi everybody, basically. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. The chat's actually going fast that I can't catch it. Always mystified by keywords. Hopefully we can demystify them somewhat. They're not as big and scary as you think. But it definitely helps to get understanding them. But yeah, I think that was my big thing. Oh, many years back now, when my shop had near enough failed. I was ready to give up, and I said, I'm gonna give it one last chance to try and figure out all this. And I got all the resources I could and learned everything I could, and it makes a difference.
And keyword research is something even long before Etsy, even before the internet. Keyword research has been in advertising for millennia, of finding the right words to attract the right people and bring them in the door.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. Yeah, everything you learn here, or you learn in your Etsy shop, you can take on to other things.
And anything you learned on other things, you could bring a lot of it to Etsy. A lot of things are going to be different. A lot of the way keywords are used, a lot of just the way search terms are used in general is going to be slightly different, but the basics will be the same. And so what you learn here, you can take everywhere.
Absolutely. KBH wants to make sure I'm using the keyword tool effectively. Again, hopefully we can help with that. There's no right or wrong way. There's ways that can make it easier for you. Absolutely. There are places you can go astray, and yeah, it should only be something you don't spend a massive amount of time on. We're going to talk about it for probably about an hour. That's because we go on a bit and we like to dive into things. But actual keyword research, I think I do keyword research about once every couple of months. Mm-hmm. For a lazy, it's not even a whole afternoon. It's probably about an hour or so, just when I'm actually watching YouTube videos and stuff as well. So.
I also do a binge type situation where I'll do it once a month. If I'm dropping new listings, then I'll do it an extra time. But if I'm just looking at old listings, I'll just kind of do a little trend research, do a little keyword research, just to see if there's any other words that I should be using. I take maybe 4 to 5 hours a month and just really dive in and see what's going on. But again, when I'm dropping a new listing, then I'll put a full 8 hours into keyword research just to see every other option that's out there and how things are performing, and base it on my research, my active listings as well, to see what keywords are working and match that up with the keyword tool. And it's fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Brian has a really great, big, exciting shop. I'm not so good as that, but everyone's going to be at different stages.
But you've also been on Etsy since 2012?
2014? 2008.
2008.
I've seen it all, yeah. Well, not quite. Yeah, I don't know if Etsy's going to be doing anything cool about it this year, but this year is Etsy's 20th birthday. So,
Ooh.
yeah. So I've not heard them say anything. All right. I can't remember what buttons I've got to press. Let's see. That's the right one there. So let's make a start. And Brian, you jump in every time I'm going too fast as well. So here's what we're going to look at today. So we're going to start with what are keywords. Now, with any of these webinars, we're going to start fairly basic because everyone's at different levels, but hopefully build up fairly quickly just so that everyone understands the basics. And then we're going to go through how to start finding keywords. And then this is where we dive into the keyword tool, how to niche down with the keyword tool. Because you do have to have some ideas to start with to take to the tools. And then we might even talk a little bit about how to use your keywords. So let's dive in. See if I can still read these now. They're little now. So what are keywords? Really simple. These are the words and phrases that customers are typing into the search bar on Etsy. So this is where people get a little muddled up, potentially. Your tags aren't keywords. Your titles aren't keywords. They can use keywords, but we'll hopefully go into that later. But the keywords are that search bar on Etsy, the words that people are typing in there. So it has great potential because this doesn't have to be adverts. You can use keywords for finding, for good adverts and everything. But the basic on Etsy search, this is people you've never met before, people who are searching to buy things, and you haven't had to spend any money apart from your listing fee to actually find them. So it's really powerful to find what the words that people are searching for. One thing that I really like, it can be cool, absolutely, to look for the keywords for your listings, make the listings you've already got even better. But I like to do keyword research to figure out what I should be making in the first place. This is the place that's going to save you the most money, especially if you're tight for time or your items cost money to make or need space to store them or anything. If you're making the things that people want and your competition haven't figured out what the people are wanting, then that's the real gold. So, have I missed anything in the chat? I think we've got a few mods in here as well, so if you can yell out if I'm missing anything, because I have a tiny screen and I can't.
This question's just not about this so far.
Cool, thank you. Did I miss anything on keywords, Brian? You'd jump in.
No, that sums it up. A keyword is a word that, use the word key. It basically unlocks what people are actually looking for. So it's all of the words that make up your title, your tags, your descriptions. Keywords can be everywhere. You're just looking for the right ones for the right buyers and how they would actually search.
Yep. And if you haven't already, Etsy has some great articles to help you on this. I think it was in 2018 they started giving us the ultimate guide to search, diving deep into what they're looking for, and they've been working on that more and more. So I see Lindsay is asking, are we using keywords for tags? Etsy does explain a little bit of, basically you find what these buyers are searching for, and then our titles and our tags and everything in our listing is to explain to the Etsy algorithm that potentially we're relevant for those keywords. So Etsy tells us that having a good match for the exact term could make you a little more relevant. So yes, the keyword goes somewhere in your title. Probably you want to have it in your tags. But there's lots of different strategies for these things.
Yeah, and we'll kind of go over a whole bunch of them.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so the first step to finding keywords is your brain. Now, some people are really good at this. You'll find some people that don't need any other kind of tool. They just can understand what customers are searching for. But most of us aren't that. We're too close to what we make. I see that especially with real artists, like perhaps jewelry makers or something, who have a specific process for what they're making, and they think their keyword is that exact thing because that's what they would search for. I'm terrible with jewelry. I'm wearing absolutely no jewelry, but if you imagine your customer is less likely to search for the exact process of lost wax pendant or something, like, I know that's a process to make things, but they might search for frog statement necklace or something. So thinking like a customer. But your first step is always your own brain. So think, what is it that I've made, and just write down a load of words and phrases that could be relevant for your item.
And you can use friends and family as well for this step. Show them an item and say, what would you search if you were looking for this item? If you wanted this particular item, what would you type into Google or into Etsy or anywhere to find this item? There you go. I should have looked ahead at the slides.
Yeah, but
asking friends or family how they would look for your item is a very vital way to get outside of your own head, because a lot of us, we like Pam was saying, we're thinking of the technical terms, we're thinking of we're way too close to it. But other people that would shop for such an item would be looking for something completely different. They might type in something completely different. That's where the keyword tool comes in, but that's also where friends and family come in. Or groups on eRank on Facebook, where you can say, hey, how would you search for this item?
Yeah, eRank has a Facebook community that should be linked below, but a lot of communities are really great if you're allowed to do it, and you can on eRank. Post a picture and say, what would you call this? Give me some ideas. And people can be really great for giving you some outside the box keywords
that you would have never thought of.
Yeah. One thing that's always surprised me, most of you who are here, you're on YouTube, you're doing all this, so you're probably a little more technical than the average person. I'm always amazed how simple people search, how they search for things. I mean, I used to have tons of friends come to me just to get me to Google things for them because they didn't know how to put the right words in. And it's like, you just type in what you want. But apparently I was very good at it. Don't ask me. I don't think I'm that old that my people should be that challenged, but
but we're also in a new era right now, and Susanna brings up, I often use ChatGPT for that step. I upload an image of my product and ask Chatty to describe it. So you can use online tools as well to kind of go through that step. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I knew we had a slide. We actually, I should do that. Yes. We actually have a tool on eRank that can help you with that. I haven't used this one in a little while, so let's check it's working. Where even is this?
You want to go to listing optimization and AI listing helper.
Thank you. I totally froze. So yeah, listing optimization, AI listing helper. And we have now, if you guys haven't used this before, this is an AI listing helper. So always check before someone give me a keyword. Someone give me a description of something they make, not a keyword. But yeah, always check the results of any AI tools. They're here to help you. They're not here to do your work for you. They can be really great and they can be really awful. Yeah, I'm not seeing any, so I'll make one up.
Especially since you could only describe it using so many characters. So it doesn't know exactly what your item is, how your item is made. It doesn't know everything about your item, but it can give you kind of a jumping off point.
Yeah, so I've seen people putting their questions now. This is the problem with delays. So I've just put cat bookmark with wool, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but so you get some ideas for potential titles, which is always handy. And you can, if it's coming up, it's saying, oh, cat bookmark with a wool tassel. That's a fair guess. Not only might it be describing my item and I haven't described it well, but you might be going, oh, hang on, I could have made a wool tassel. Wool tassel works really good on a bookmark. Some ideas for descriptions, but what I really like is we have our tag ideas. Well, the AI gives some tag ideas and eRank goes in and we slap our data on it, so you can actually see if it's given some good ideas. So it's definitely very handy. And if it doesn't give good ideas, as we say, it's what it does is different every time. So if you don't like what it's offered you here, you can search again. But anywhere you're using eRank for some ideas of keywords, this little star next to them, you can save these keywords. If I just click on it and it goes gold, I've saved it to a keyword list so I can come back and look at that at any time. And that's really handy as well. When you're brainstorming, like I said, write it down. But if you save it to a keyword list, the great thing is when you come back to that list, it's going to have the updated keyword data right there for you. So you don't have to search it again. So definitely a bit of a cheat. That's not using up any of your quotas if you've already saved it there. So we do have that listing helper tool. And couple of other places is check if you have a shop, check what's already working in your shop. So you go to your Etsy dashboard and you see what search terms people are finding you for. Or eRank has the traffic stats tool, which if you've connected up your shop, if you've connected up Google Analytics to your Etsy shop and then you connect it to eRank, and don't worry, eRank has gone through all the steps with Google to make sure we're absolutely safe. We're not doing anything nefarious with your data. We're just compiling it to give it to you because Google Analytics is too much data. It's very confusing. So you can check in your traffic stats tool on eRank to see what keywords are working. And again, save those keywords and then you can start your research from those keywords.
Yeah, and you could go into the listing on both Etsy and on eRank and see the keywords and what they're doing as well, how they're being found, that kind of thing. And that's a great place to start if you're creating a listing that's similar to one that you already have. That way you're not wasting space with words that nobody's actually finding those listings for. You can you make yourself a reminder to come back and fix that listing, the initial listing, for all the words that it's not being found for, but you have a jumping off point for your new listing as well.
Absolutely. And sometimes I find if you look at the keywords, sometimes there's keywords that are related to your items, but not closely, which sort of says to me, if it's something else I can make, they're like, people are searching for this and Etsy didn't have anything perfect to give them. Maybe there's something I could make there. Maybe there's a wee idea I can steal.
Linda asked a question that I don't know if we necessarily have the answer to, but how does eRank determine the similar keywords?
In the keyword,
some of it is through thesaurus. Some of it is just like standard shopping databases, which actually link certain words together. Some of it is using AI type tools to figure out when someone shops for this, what else are they shopping for? What's similar to it? Some of it comes directly from Etsy. When you do a search on Etsy, you can actually see related searches. That's the type of thing that eRank is doing in the background to find related keywords to the keyword that you typed in.
Yep. And also a very simple one as well. We also look at the other tags that similar listings are using as well. So we have tons of places. And yeah, I don't think the clever people have whole loads of clever ways of doing it. We don't know absolutely everything there, but they're
all the algorithm folk. They know what they're doing.
Exactly. But they've definitely been refining it. And we will be showing you when we get to that demo portion of it, we'll be showing you the keyword tool beta because that's the latest version. And that has had some upgrades in how we're refining the related keywords that we show you. And hopefully you're finding them even better. You're finding in some searches there's going to be more keywords where there maybe wasn't enough, and some searches we've got less irrelevant ones, because that's also something that you've got to that comes up when you're trying to figure out keywords. So.
Exactly. Atomic Cat Tie-Dye asks, could keywords be in your materials section? Etsy does not use materials as keywords. Etsy uses your title and tags, and that's it when it comes to keywords. They do use attributes if it's a pre-filled in attribute, like for if there's a material attribute and you're selecting from a list like metal, plastic, wood, those are keywords. But for the section where you actually type in your materials, Etsy does not use that for SEO or keyword purposes.
But it definitely can help to use the right materials in that section, because Etsy's now showing, especially in the jewelry section, you'll now see in search, it'll say materials available. And sometimes you even see little colored circles, like if it's in gold, silver, if you've got some options and things. So fill in everything that's relevant in the right places, and that can help the customer. It could help them with filtering things, all sorts of things. But don't generally, when you're making a listing, I know we're teaching you about keywords here, we're talking about keywords today, but don't be thinking of keyword stuffing, putting the keywords everywhere. When you've decided what your most important keywords are that are the most relevant for your listings, it's going to be really easy to put them in your title because they're relevant for that. You'll put them in your tags. But after that, everything else is, how is this going to help the customer if I fill it in? That's
exactly.
Because like one of the most important things is, once Etsy shows you, do customers like it and buy it? And if everything in your listing is all keyword stuffing to be able to tell the algorithm that this is relevant, that can really put customers off, because they're like, this is supposed to be a description, or I'm trying to see what the materials are. That's not helpful. And very much the same with the alt text in your photographs. Google apparently uses that, but at the same time, Google's far more clever than the rest of us.
Google uses that information, but it doesn't use it for search-based purposes. So keyword stuffing your alt tags your alt text doesn't actually help. It helps Google's AI determine what's in a photo, but it gets rid of all irrelevant data because it's looking at billions of photos across the internet, and if most that are exactly the same as your photo or similar to your photo don't have those, it's killing them anyways. So it ends up not being relevant, and it can push your shop down. It could push your image searches down by stuffing words in there that don't actually apply to what's in the image. So don't keyword stuff your alt text.
Yep. I mean, Google is far more clever than Etsy and hates keyword stuffing even more. So just be relevant. Don't be trying to game the system.
Exactly.
As we say,
and I guess we flew past that. Alt text is it's text that's on an image that screen readers use. So it's meant for people that are visually impaired or something else that basically their computer or their device will read the screen, and that's what the alt text is actually for. So if you have a child throwing a ball, that's what you would put there. People that can't see the image, now they can have the image described to them, almost like closed captioning for the hearing impaired. It's closed captioning for the visually impaired.
Absolutely. So it's to help people. That's always to think of. Right. Oh yeah, the final, I think this is the final slide. I should have checked this before. Also, you're thinking of all these gift for, who's it for, what's it made of, where can it be used? I think Etsy has a whole article on this as well, but yeah, you've thought of what your item is. You've maybe started to have an idea of what people are searching for, but people also put in like jewelry gift for sister or something. So just make a list of all these things, and then we can narrow it down for what's good. Yeah, but again, that's another place the community can help you with all the different types of the styles. I'm really awful at styles. Like, is this maximalist, or is it boho, or is it, I don't know. So
I believe that
yeah,
second says grandpa core.
that was a thing. Yeah, but I think that was the tail end of last year. Hey, we should remind me as we get there, and we'll search for grandpa core and see if it ever took off. Pinterest was pushing it hard. It was just guys dressing. A lot of it was guys dressing in cardigans and things.
Hajra asks, so it doesn't matter whether you add alt text or not. It doesn't, but you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't add them to at least the first image for those who are visually impaired, who can't see what your listing is. Now someone who is visually impaired would be able to purchase your listing because they would know what they're buying.
Exactly. It puts you ahead of the competition. It's not something, if you have 10,000 listings, it's not going to be a good use of your time to sit and fill this in for all 10,000 listings.
Exactly.
It could be a good use of your time for your top performing listings to go in and do a little bit. It could be a good thing to get into your workflow when you're uploading the pictures, throw in the alt text as you're doing it. Just something we add, but it's not, you're not going to do it and suddenly see your sales take off, but it could just be a little edge. And if nothing else, it could help somebody. So it's worth it. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Keywords.
Yeah. Let's do the do. So this is where I lose sight of everything and I'll just go down the rabbit hole. So on eRank, we want to go to keyword research and the keyword tool. This is the favorite tool. Now I'm going to nip in and use the keyword tool beta. This is available to you all. If you haven't seen this on eRank, we're rolling out some new upgrades to our tools. So eRank's been around for a while, so we're giving a nice refresh and hopefully making our tools better. And when we've upgraded a tool, there'll be a banner like this telling you that there's a beta version you can go and check out. I would really advise you check out the beta. Tell us what you love about it. Tell us what you hate about it, because it will take over eventually. It will become the main tool. So let us know what you're thinking. And we've been given lots of feedback on the keyword tool, and I'm really liking it just now. So yeah, let's try Grandpa Core. So here's one I've not checked for a while.
And you can choose up in the top there, right beside the search box, you could choose which region. So if you are in a different region or your target audience is in a different region, you can see what it's like there. So if you're in Germany, you can choose Deutsch there, and it will then show you the results from just that specific area. Right now, the default is USA, just because that is the bigger market on Etsy.
Yeah, you might have guessed from our accents that neither of us are from the USA, but I tend to default.
I'm pretty neutral. I have a pretty neutral accent. It's very possible I'm American. I'm not.
Yeah, you could be a little more mistaken than me for sure. But because the USA has the vast, well, what was it? Etsy told us it's nearly 75% of GMS in the last year was from buyers in the US. So we get the most data because there's the most people there. So I'll start with the USA and then narrow down if I need to. Yeah, so that was a bit of fun, but no, Grandpa Core's not a thing. Here,
Cottage Core is.
Yes, Cottage Core absolutely has been. Let's see if Pinterest is still pushing it, because we have other marketplaces here. No,
marketplaces and platforms.
Yes, of course, Pinterest isn't a marketplace. Yes. Anyway, that was an aside. But let's think about what to do now. The easiest, you've got all the keywords and everything in your head, but quite often with keyword research, a good thing to do is sort of start high level and drill down rather than that very specific thing. So I am thinking in the UK, what's coming up really soon, and the next big holiday for the US and everything, but you're a bit later, is Mother's Day. So let's see what's going on for Mother's Day. And now we find out that my computer's not working or something. This is the joy. It always goes slow when I'm live demoing. But here we go. So eRank's gone off. It's getting some of its data directly from the Etsy API, and then some of these average search volumes. I'll just let you know if you haven't heard. Etsy doesn't give these out to anyone. We have third-party companies that have vast panels of real internet users that have agreed for their data to be used like this. This sounds dodgy, but it's the industry standard for how this data is acquired. That's how Amazon, how many people watched Amazon. That's how back in the day people knew who was listening to a radio. So
just kind of explain that on the screen, I guess. Average searches, that is the average searches based on the past 12 months. So it's not a specific month. It's over the past 12 months. That's the average amount of searches per month. And the average clicks, it's the same thing. It's the average clicks per month based on the last 12 months. And competition is the amount of other listings that are using that keyword.
Yep. As I said, because I'm running a stream and everything, my computer seems to be running slow to open everything up here. But there's usually a search trend graph. Let's see if I can refresh that. Sorry, guys. This is the joy of live video. I don't get to cut these bits out. This is entirely a problem of my computer because we are running the stream and talking to... What have we got? 350 of you. Oh, here we go. It's
350 people.
Yeah, I know, that's not terrifying at all. Yeah, so this is what it's supposed to look
I can't see that number, so thank you for bringing that up and or making me
nervous now. Yep. So we get to see, so we've looked at on Etsy in the USA, and we get to see this data that Brian went through here, and this little purpley colored thing here is telling you trending. It means in the past week Mother's Day has been being searched for. So even though in the USA you're a couple of months off, this is a good time to think about Mother's Day. So that's good to know already. And the searches by country tell you a breakdown. Now the United States usually has a massive chunk of this pie, and the fact that it's only 35% says Mother's Day is celebrated in a lot of places one way or another. So that's good news as well.
And also you could see the huge chunk in the UK because it's coming there first.
Exactly. It's coming up. Here we can see the search trend graph for the USA. If I went to the UK or something, we'd see that. We'll maybe do that. And we've got, just as a quick, you could have searched for other marketplaces, but we can see some other here, because if we click, if you sell stuff that's very good for Mother's Day, be thinking about your Amazon listings as well. Yeah, quite often Etsy's beaten out Amazon in certain things, but people search for their mums on Amazon for Mother's Day. Good to know. And then here's where I think the powerhouse of this. I like the keyword ideas, because we found this is like your validation saying, if I was to make something for Mother's Day, are people buying stuff for Mother's Day? Yes, they are. But what should I make? Like, if I make, I don't know, knitted tea bag holders or something, is that something that mothers are wanting? Because Mother's Day by itself is a keyword. The competition, there is over 2.5 million listings on Etsy already competing with you for Mother's Day in just US shops. So we've got to make something good to get seen for that. So this is where we can drill down, and this is what I like of the new keyword beta. Some of the extra things we've done here, if you guys haven't seen this little funnel thing, we can now filter by lots of different things in the column. So I want to find the stuff that doesn't have much competition. So let's say less than 50,000. Let's not get rid of everything. And then it's just got rid of all the really big competition ones. And another
in that same filter, you can add multiple rules. So if you click on the filter button again, you'll see add rule. So you can have less than 50,000, but greater than 10,000. That way, you know that other sellers are actually selling it, and that's more useful in the average searches. But that lets you go completely granular with your numbers, so that it's not just higher than or less than or equal to. You could actually add multiple rules so that you can fine tune exactly the data you want.
Yeah. I think it's 2 rules per column, but you can go competition and searches. You can go as much as you want. What I like to do is just get rid of the very big competition. And if you hit by the search trend, that's going to filter by the stuff that's doing really well just now, the latest stuff. I could go by average searches, but the searches just now. So you can see what kind of things are looking good there. One thing I will say, well, we know these one-off spikes, for a lot of keywords, be wary of one-off spikes. It could be some influencers mentioned something, Etsy's been pushing something, or there's a lot of Valentine's Day stuff showing just now, but Valentine's Day's past. But I think the good thing with the Mother's Day ones is we know there's a couple of months, so it's likely that these might all stay good keywords. So that's lots of interesting things there, hopefully.
And with those ones with the spike, it really shows off that the average searches are over the past 12 months. You could see that first one, or the second one down, is 1420 in February 2025. It had 1,420 searches, but basically no searches throughout the rest of the year. If you divide that by 12, you'll get approximately 129. So the average searches kind of flattens it out to how well is it doing over the course of a year. But looking at the search trends is also important, because Christmas stuff or specific holiday stuff will have those spikes. So you want to see what number those spikes are hitting as well. So average searches is important, but average searches in the month that you're trying to target are also important.
Exactly. And you can see the trend, like Grandma's Garden. I hadn't even heard of that. Is that something IP related, or is it, who knows? But you could see last year it was doing quite well and it's kind of tailed off. But Christian Mother's Day gifts, there was a spike last year and a spike this year. So this might be a seasonal one. So we're just getting loads of ideas. And if you do want to see ones that have good all year round, then I can just filter by the highest average searches, which is another interesting way to look at. So I'm like looking a legacy journal. So these are not, as we said, where we're coming up with related other keywords. It's coming from the tags of other people's listings. So it could be lots of people are making sales for legacy journal things that Etsy shows in Mother's Day searches. So that's fun. Oh, I nearly forgot we were going to show off this wonderful this tab that we both really like and we always forget to check.
This is the SERP analysis. SERP stands for Search Engine Results Page. And so this will show you what's on the first page or 2.5 pages. So it searches the first 100 listings on Etsy with no personalization, with no anything. So this is just the raw data of the first 100 listings that will show for that search tag.
Yeah, what this can be useful is if you've dialed down, Mother's Day is a bit of a broad keyword, but if it still gives you some good ideas. It's analyzed these top 100 listings and it's giving you the average price. So this gives you an idea, does my item fit in here? You can be a little bit more expensive or a little bit cheaper, but perhaps people aren't buying $2,000 dresses for Mother's Day. You could have probably guessed that, but it does give you an idea.
And that number gets a lot more relevant the more niche down you get. So Mother's Day is very broad, and so you're going to see a massive fluctuation in price versus if it's Mother's Day greeting card red hearts, then you're going to see a very specific number, and you'll see a lot less fluctuation in that number, which we'll get to that graph below.
Yeah. Susanna, yeah, I can hear an echo when I'm speaking. We had technical issues. I'm not sure if that's my side or Brian repeating me.
I don't think it's me. I hope it's not.
It's hard to know. We don't have any options. So I hope it's not too awful, people.
And Principal Occasion said, are either color green good keywords to use? Would you consider yellow good as well? Yes, yellow's good as well. Yellow is not as good as green, and red is not as good as yellow. They're kind of based on color, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing. So if you look at the top of Pam's screen there, it says Mother's Day mug, and Etsy competition is red. That's because there are 205,000 listings that are for a Mother's Day mug or use Mother's Day mug as a tag. So that's not necessarily a good thing, but if yours is better than 205,000 of them, then that's not bad. So it all depends on where you are in your Etsy journey. It depends on how your item will compare, but also if something is like, if you're selling Mother's Day jewelry, we see on the screen there right in the middle, there's 521 results that of average searches, and that's showing as yellow. That's not necessarily a bad thing because that's what you're selling.
Yeah, the colors are there to help you quickly spot things and to sort of compare them at a glance. Because remember, these are average numbers and they're estimated from massive panels. Oh, I think the echo's gone. I moved my mic closer. They're not the exact numbers. So we don't want you looking and going, oh, that one's got 600, that one's got 700, that one's better. It's like light green helps you show your eyes. You're like, oh, they're similar enough. Obviously, the gold would be all three bars are green. But Etsy's a massive established marketplace, and that doesn't happen very often. So what we've got here is for the searches and the click-through rate, which we haven't talked about click-through rate really. We'll get into that. But for both of those, kind of higher is better. So the higher they are, the more green they are. For competition, the lower they are, the better. But it doesn't mean if something was amazing and very relevant for your listing, I would definitely not write it off. Your keywords, it's a science experiment. You find the best ones you can, but you run with it and you throw in some wild cards. There's no being perfect about it. But yes, Edward mentioned click-through rate. So that is just literally from the people searching for that keyword, how many of them have gone on and clicked a listing they see in search. So you're going to say, Pam, how can you have 120%? That doesn't maths. It actually, what that would mean for these 700 people, some of them actually clicked on something they saw in search and then came back to the search page and clicked on something else. Now, if they do that a lot, it might mean they're being shown absolutely rubbish things. But in general, higher's good because it's saying they searched and they saw stuff in search that they liked. When it's really low, they might search for something and then just be like, no, those search results aren't what I want. I'm going to try a different search. I'm going to leave Etsy in disgust, so okay. Higher is good. But it's going to be very hard to find all green. And the other thing, you're not just looking at these three, not just looking at these colors, but also look, how's the search over the year? How is it at this point in the year? And most importantly, how relevant is that keyword for my listing? If you find a perfect keyword that has nothing to do with what you make, don't use it. It's not going to work for you anyway. if you make something that's completely nothing to do with the keyword, even if Etsy shows you in search, nobody will click on you. So Etsy will go, oh, that's wrong. So I'll go on to somebody else.
Anya asked, for competition, is eRank aggregating broad match plus exact match, or is it only other listings with exact match? It is broad match plus exact match. We're getting those numbers from Etsy. So if you were to search for that term in Etsy, that's the amount of of other listings that you will see. So that's including broad match, exact match, mix and matched, and phrasal chunks, and all of the other terms that Etsy likes to use. That's the Etsy competition. So it's all other listings that term will show up for. Or
there is one little caveat, because this comes from the Etsy API, so it's directly from them, but it's the competition of shops that are in the USA. Unfortunately, this is an absolute pain. I would like it to be exactly everything, but it's as good as we've got from Etsy, but it is everything that Etsy would be showing, what is showing for that search term.
Exactly. And Chris or Aaron Valentino said, aren't the search results based on the user's previous searches, so each user sees different results? Yes. The number that we were seeing on the SERP page, which you could probably jump back to now, that will show without any personalization whatsoever, without any localization. That's just directly from the API. Those are that's the data without any personalization. So if you were to do a Google, or if you were to do an Etsy search, you will get different results than the 100 results that this is based on, because it's personalized for where you are, who you are, what you've purchased before, and all of the other things. Every user sees varying search results. So this is just kind of a broad scope.
Yeah, you can see the top listings actually show you the top listings, so you can go and have a look. But this, as Brian said, this comes from the Etsy API. This is for this keyword in this country. This is where Etsy have ranked these listings before
that exact moment as well,
yes.
Because a listing will also jump up and down. A brand new listing will get a boost. So if you happen to pull up the SERP analysis at that exact moment when that listing has a boost, then it will show up higher. It will show up even though the listing is a brand new listing. Why is a brand new listing number one? Because it's getting that boost, but that boost might only last for 30 seconds or 10 minutes, depending on the category that it's in, how busy that category is. So these results will also vary completely depending on when you did the search.
Absolutely. But I do see it. It's not perfect. Again, unfortunately, this is the way that search engines work. But I see it as really helpful, because it's showing the things that Etsy is basically saying, we think these have the best chance. We think these have the best SEO, and they've been performing the best, or they're new enough from a good enough shop and stuff. And yeah, when you go on, we've all skewed what we see on Etsy by our terrible search histories. So that makes a difference.
And if you scroll down, you can see this word cloud kind of gives you other ideas. Some of these would have shown up in the keyword ideas, and it kind of gives you an idea of what other related searches there are around that Mother's Day search.
This is the most popular tags, but the good thing for everyone looks at things and learns differently. So it's a word cloud. So the bigger they are, the more they've been used in tags. So that really helps you there. The other thing that can help is the categories. If you've gone very specific with your keyword, you can see potentially where you should be putting, where you could be putting your item, where most people are putting them. But this also helps to say, for Mother's Day, what are the top listings? Oh, it's greeting cards just now. And that makes sense. They probably do sell a whole lot for Mother's Day. It's a nice, quick and easy thing to make for many people. And again, digital prints, and then hoodies and sweatshirts. So a Mother's Day sweatshirt. And hey, if you're doing that kind of thing, a mummy and daughter, mother and son, make bundles, because then you can sell more stuff. Always good. All right. Did we miss anything more about keywords there?
I don't see anything else. I think we can keep going. So if you scroll down slightly, you can see the price range and the processing times for those 100 listings as well. So you can see, even though the average was $12, the median is about $6. That's where there's the huge spike. So for Mother's Day, a lot of people are putting listings at about that $6 mark, but all the way up to, that would be about 80 something dollars. So there's that huge range, $120. There you go. And because it is a very, very broad search term, Mother's Day versus Mother's Day greeting card, there will be a much larger range. Once you start adding more to it, once you start narrowing down to your specific niche, you'll start seeing the price range, that gap will kind of close. Greeting cards, like, that's probably where your $6 thing is. You're looking at probably greeting cards in the $6 to $15 range. You're looking at SVGs in that like $2 to $6 range, and then the $120 range might be a pendant. So with a broad search like Mother's Day, you're looking at all the different types of products, versus when you start narrowing it down, that price will narrow down as well and give you an idea of what your competition is selling items for.
Absolutely. So there's a whole load of cool data in this tab as well. We've just been talking about it lately, so we thought we'd share it because it is really handy just to see the type of things.
Exactly. And just like the search trend chart there, if you scroll back down, you can click on the marketplaces tab, and that'll show you how popular that keyword is for other marketplaces, including Amazon, Etsy.
Powered by a potato. Yeah.
So this will show a lot more than just the few that are in the search trends chart up top. You'll see Depop, Reverb, AliExpress, Amazon Books, Amazon Handmade, and a whole host more of sites.
I was hoping you were going to do the whole list in one breath. Oh.
my lungs are not that good.
But yeah, a whole load of marketplaces. So there's several reasons for this. Is firstly, if you're looking to expand out of Etsy, what other marketplaces could be good if that's the kind of thing you make? That's really handy to see. But also, we've got some places you'd be like, well, I can't sell on there. Like Best Buy, I don't think they take. We don't have these, but I don't think they take Etsy sellers on there. But this gives you an idea of what's popular in shopping. What are people buying? Because at the end of the day, Etsy customers are different, but they're not that different. We are all buying similar kind of things. We all start looking to shop for Mother's Day a couple of months before Mother's Day, so it's handy to see the trends. And we also have some other things. I mean, we even have things like Shein and Temu. We are not telling you to sell on Shein or Temu, but they are very good at knowing what's trending. So why not borrow some of their data there?
Exactly. And you can see when their trends are as well. And generally their trends spread everywhere else. It's same with Target and Walmart, the big brand stores. They also, it's good to see what they're trending as well, just so that you know when should I make sure that my listings are up for.
Yep. And we even have Facebook Marketplace. If you're needing to get rid of some stuff, most of us go through a stage where yeah, suddenly your car needs 2 tires and a new exhaust and you just need some money quickly. So it's maybe not a full-time business strategy, but you can go, hey, we can look at Facebook Marketplace. The other thing I like also looking at is Pinterest.
Yeah.
If you keep an eye on Pinterest, they start some trends. I think cottagecore sort of started on Pinterest and stuff and then became great and huge. I think it's still kicking about. I'm sure it is. Let's have a nosy. This, I promise you, half the time of keyword research is not you doing the valuable work. It's you disappearing down a rabbit hole.
It's just like Wikipedia, where you can just search and search and search. And when you click on any of those terms, so if you wanted to look up dark cottagecore or cottagecore decor, you can click directly on that and it'll bring you to the keyword tool results for that. And you can just keep going and find words that really match the product that you're selling. But also, I didn't even think of selling that. I didn't even think that cottagecore could be like dark. Does that mean dark color? Does that mean like it's gothy cottagecore? I don't know. The different search results will show me that, but I wouldn't even think of cottagecore and dark putting them together, but people are searching for that. And I would have never assumed that. If I was selling something cottagecore, odds are it would be more wood and more bright and vibrant, but apparently people are looking for dark cottagecore as well.
Absolutely. So you can even find like Brian sitting here going, can I suddenly become cottagecore? Can my shop become cottagecore?
What can I do with that?
Yeah. So that if it's something you're like, what on earth even is this? That's a good time to go to the top listings to have a look. Interesting. It's nowhere near as dark as I thought. But okay, Haunted Halloween. Yeah.
There you go.
Aha. So we're learning stuff. So yeah, dark cottagecore is a thing that we have just learned.
And it's more about gothiness than it is about the actual dark colors. Interesting.
Yeah, I suppose it's like a witch in the woods cottagecore, isn't it? There we go. See, Deb, you're right. That's why I love the keyword lists for keeping all my rabbit hole research.
Now we're finding keywords and we're shopping. That's what we do here at eRank.
Exactly. We've gone and had some ideas and shopped about. So what you could do if you were doing this, I think the free account, you get one keyword list, which is plenty for some basic research. But if you're in one of our paid subscriptions, you have more keyword lists. So you can just from here, click on that, create yourself a new keyword list and drop these, go like, oh, hang on, here's my side quest of dark cottagecore, because we accidentally found something that is interesting.
Exactly. And one nice thing, right, if you scroll down to just above the search results, you'll see that there's also an include and an exclude keywords button. So in those, you're able to, because you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff. If you're selling more decor than you are selling mugs, you can exclude the word mug. You could exclude the word shirt. If you're selling something that a lot of people end up putting on shirts, so you're going to see a lot of shirt, or you're going to see a lot of SVG. If you're selling something like photography, there's a lot of SVG files or a lot of digital files. You can actually exclude those words so that those aren't included in the results. It won't necessarily change the results. It'll just remove those words so that you're not cluttered with stuff that isn't relevant to what you're looking for.
Yeah, and if you just want you want a nice, quick, easy one. So this is like cottagecore handbag, but you're like, I just want dark cottagecore. You can change the match to say phrase or exact. I always muddle these up. Phrase match should include everything with dark cottagecore because we want the spooky side of life. There's not a whole lot here, but it's got rid of all the stuff we weren't interested in. So super interesting. Right. Where did we get to? Oh yeah. So we've slightly covered this, but because of the great questions and everything. But when you're looking through those keywords, like, so you're doing that research, the keywords that you save, how do you know what are the good keywords in all of what you've done? So most importantly, it has to describe your item. or be relevant for your item. The thing that pops to mind here is a while ago, lesbian earrings was a massive search term and lots of people were wanting to use it. But just because they knew it was a search term and they had earrings and lesbians can wear earrings, rather than what is the aesthetic of, what actually is this thing. So you have to make sure you fit into it. Put it simply, if your item has nothing to do with the keyword, it's not going to do well, because when people search, they're not going to like it. Etsy's going to stop showing it. And then this is where the keyword tools come in. You need to know that people are searching for it. Doesn't have to be loads. If you're a small shop, we're maybe not going to get 10,000 searches a month type keywords, but you might find 20 keywords that have 10 searches a month, and they can all build up for 1 listing, 2 listings. But if nobody's searching, you're not going to get many views. But bear in mind how Etsy keywords work with this broad match. So you might have put in some keywords that nobody's searching for, but Etsy was able to pick cottagecore for one tag and dark from another tag and match you for dark cottagecore when you never knew it was a thing. So I say don't spend too long worrying about it. If it looks relevant, try it in a listing, come back in a few months and see if it did any good. It's always a case of refining, but
that's the O part of SEO is optimizing. So you'll pick a word, you'll think that's a great word, and then you'll see, oh, it's not really doing much. So you come back in a few months later and you optimize it and you remove it, switch it around, do what you can. It's about optimizing and then optimizing again and then optimizing again. That's why there's no specific keyword that you can choose that's the best keyword and that's what's going to work. Anyone that tries to sell you on that is not probably a legitimate person selling something, because you need to test. You need to see, is this what my shoppers are looking for? Because even though it might be a very relevant term, they might not actually be searching for that. They might have a completely different way of finding your item. And so it's about optimizing and finding other keywords that people might be searching for to find your specific item.
Yep. And as we mentioned with the coloured bars, but low enough competition. Again, don't write off things with big competition, but don't base your entire shop on there's 10 million listings on Etsy. That's my perfect keyword. Niche down and find, instead of Mother's Day, what people are specifically looking for, even your own niche in part of cottagecore, because there might not be a load of people searching, but if you chase out all that little competition and become that big fish in the little puddle, you can sort of creep up. Etsy can say, oh, Brian's got a really good shop here for dark cottagecore. Now we're going to try and show him for cottagecore. But don't write things off that have too high competition, though. Still experiment with them, because of the 2 million you might see, quite a lot of them aren't very well optimized. Not everybody knows about keyword research. Not everyone knows about SEO. That's why there's so many of you here today, because you want to learn about it. But at the end of the day, a very small proportion of that high competition is very good. So that's another good reason to go into looking at what the top listings are. Like, are they actually good for this keyword?
Exactly.
Like, oh, I can't remember what my slides are. This is great. Yeah, so there are many factors that impact how Etsy ranks your listing. So here are some of the most important ones. So this is partially what you want to be thinking of for your keywords, but what you want to be thinking of for your shop and everything. So your title. Your title is very, very important, because Etsy uses this for the SEO. So when you found a keyword you really, really think is great, you should pop it in your title. Now, how long your titles are, how short they are, how many keywords you put in them, how you write them, all sorts of things work. Etsy say short and concise, but they don't explain what that means. They've mentioned 2 to 3 keywords, but they also talk about natural language. Depending on your type of item, if you're selling a wedding dress or a wedding ring, probably making it look like it comes from Shein with a keyword stuff title might cheapen your item. But if you're selling $1 pins or something, yeah, it's probably not going to hurt to put in some more keywords. Have a look at what your competition are doing.
And
Don't
not
copy
just your competition on Etsy. If you're selling jewelry, look at what Tiffany & Co. is doing. How do they structure their titles? You'll notice that they're very short and concise. And that way you can find exactly what you're looking for and know what you're getting without any fluff, which makes you think, is this what I'm looking for? Are there any hidden words that I don't know about? That's the Temu, AliExpress, eBay problem of there's just, if you get a word salad in there, it might be a beautiful ring, but it's actually for a Barbie doll.
Yes, we've all been caught out, I'm sure. So title, most important. Tags like back up your title. They're the place that only the algorithm sees in general, unless you're using tools like eRank. So your keywords that you found, pop them in your tags, and then all the other things you thought of. Who's it for? What material? What place in the house is it going to be used? What kind of style? All the extra things, bung them in there. Don't even necessarily I like to have my first few tags to make sense, but then you can just, your last ones, put in everything, let Etsy do its experimentation, and then you sort of circle back round and look at what worked, what keywords you're being found for, and maybe optimize, maybe make them better.
Exactly.
Again, there's many strategies. The best practices generally don't have one word tags because you're wasting space. Like, there would be no point having a tag of dark and a tag of cottagecore when you can have a tag of dark cottagecore and a tag of something else that has other words in.
Because you will still be an exact match for both dark and cottagecore and dark cottagecore. So having them in one tag doesn't disadvantage you whatsoever if people are looking for just cottagecore.
Exactly. Descriptions. Etsy's told us the algorithm looks at descriptions, but it doesn't do it for ranking. It does it for the next passes. So your title and tags are for ranking, and then descriptions might help in personalization to have that final understanding of what your listing is. So don't keyword stuff your descriptions at all. If your keywords describe what your items are, you're going to include them in your description because you're describing what your items are. But think more of what your descriptions are there for, and they're to help your customers. So make them as clear as possible for people. Don't worry about the machine there.
And when it comes to descriptions, also think about search engines like Google. When your listing shows up in a search engine, the first part of the description is what shows. So you don't necessarily want that to be just random word salad, because then people don't actually know what they're looking at. But by having some really descriptive words and describing your product in the first part of your description, you're actually doing your listing a good service.
Absolutely. And it doesn't help when you're seen on Google, and it doesn't help your customers to cut and paste your title into the start of your description, or to cut and paste your tags or anything. I know people used to think that was good practice, but no, you absolutely don't need to do that.
Yeah, then your title's literally on Google twice, and you've now not sold your product for another 120 characters or however long your title is, because you want your description to be impactful and to really sell your product. And if you're wasting space in there to just repeat what was on the line right above it, you're not actually helping anything.
Absolutely. And then I think I'm calling these wrong now, shop and listing score, but basically Etsy's talking about your customer service experience, all these things that they're looking into, but
The
fill out your
customer marketplace experience quality score.
Yes, that's it. I totally had a blank on that. Yes. But it's basically make sure everything's filled out as it should be on your shop. Make sure you're giving good customer service. Make sure you're shipping things when you say you're going to. All the good points about running a shop. It's on your Etsy dashboard, the things that Etsy are looking at just now. So yeah, but it does factor into ranking. Running a good shop is as important as all your SEO, because you can totally kill it. Etsy will just be like, I don't trust your shop. I'm not going to show your shop, no matter how perfect your SEO is.
Exactly.
It all works together. Oh, yay. We did it. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, I think we can hang around for a little while before Debbie kills us.
Abba Home, I assume that's right. I don't know, but asks, can we sell ebooks at Etsy? Yes, you can. As long as you've written the ebook or created the ebook, then it is a handmade item. It's just like a lot of sellers will sell coloring books, digital coloring books. That's an ebook. People will sell guides, like knitting guides and that type of stuff. Those are ebooks. So you can sell ebooks. That's not a problem at all. That is not against Etsy's policy as long as you have written that book.
Yeah, we were just talking about this the other week, and it's not something we see lots of. So, but I have seen some, I'd since dug into it, and I have seen some reasonable sized booksellers on Etsy, you know, of their own publishing. But I would say go ahead and look at other marketplaces as well. Amazon has a whole published by
Amazon publishing. Yep.
Yep. So it's definitely worth looking at other places as well. But you definitely can. And yeah, I don't know why it isn't bigger than it is, because I think it's a handmade thing, and it's a cool thing.
It's just not like a lot of people don't know that that's what people are searching for on Etsy. With Amazon was originally a bookstore, and they have the Kindle, and they have Kindle Direct Publishing, and so people just think books, so they go to Amazon. But Etsy is becoming much, much larger for it as well, especially as people are self-publishing or just selling digital versions of books or digital guides of something. It's a great place to actually sell that. You'll see it a lot with knitting patterns and that type of stuff. That comes in PDF form. That's an ebook. And so a lot of there is a lot of ebooks on Etsy. People just, that's not necessarily the first place that they think to go, but it's becoming the first place.
Yeah, and I'd say be clever with your keyword research there, because obviously, unless you're well known, people aren't going to search for like the title of your book or something like you might get for other things. But look at what people are searching for. Is there a problem that you can fill? And the other thing is, if you've got a very specific ebook, if Etsy makes sense for you, if it's solving a problem that people are searching for, there's a possibility of your listing showing up on Google. Most people's listings, Etsy listings, won't show up in a Google search, but very specific things can do. So there is a niche for it, but you are going to have to be clever, because most people don't necessarily know this is a thing.
Exactly. Linda said, I was wondering why two different listings with the same title tags were popping up for different search words. The description. The description does have a factor. Also, just what people are clicking on. So if somebody searches for something and both listings show up and they happen to click on one, that listing will now be more prominent in search results for that search term, while the other one isn't, because that one didn't get a click. And so listings can be, there's a lot of personalization that goes into these things, and there's a lot of different ranking that can happen based on the way people interact with listings.
Yeah, the SEO, how you set up your listing at the first place, is only the start. It's how customers engage with it over time, and also how your shop grows over time. Sadly, people who are bigger sellers, who've been selling more, have more ranking power, just simply because they've shown to Etsy they've got that good customer service, they're a trustworthy shop. So over time, shops might be ranking more. So this is why we say don't copy your competitors. Like, you could make an identical listing to your competitor, titles, tags, steal their photos. Do not steal. Don't do this, but you could do that. And you wouldn't be ranking anywhere near them in search because you don't have all the rest of the metrics. So the SEO is the start of the metrics. It's you packaging up your item, taking it to Etsy and saying, can you experiment with this for me? And Etsy will, if they're not sure about it, they'll experiment with you a little bit. If they're confident about you, they'll experiment a little more. But either way, if the customer, when they search, if they love what they're seeing, Etsy will experiment with you more. If they don't like it, Etsy will say, yeah, we tried, mate, but nobody likes that, basically.
Exactly. A few people asked, what's the best plan on eRank? So my recommendation, Pam might have something different, is start with a free plan. Connect your shop, just so that you get more data about your listings and about the way that your shop works. eRank is read only, so it can't actually do anything with your shop. It's literally just to gather data from your shop so that it can better give you keywords and better give you listing audit advice and that type of stuff. So I would start with the free plan, play with it, see what you like, see what you don't like. And when you're ready, when there's certain data that you'd like you can't see the average searches, you can't see any data that eRank has to pay for. You're just seeing stuff directly from the Etsy API that's formatted in a way that works for searching. Once you start hitting some of those roadblocks, or not enough keyword lists, or you have multiple shops, or that type of thing, then upgrade to the basic plan. And once you start hitting limits there, you'll get the exact same tool set between basic and pro. It's just you get more searches. So if you're someone that has a lot of listings or a lot of shops, and so you're doing a lot of keyword research, then you might hit that limit and need to upgrade. And when I first started on eRank, this is going back 6 years. I was on the free plan for about 4 or 5 months before I jumped into a paid plan, and I've been on the pro for much longer than I've been doing work for eRank, because it's just very useful for the way that I do keyword research, where I will binge. If you do a little bit every day, then you can get away with the basic plan. If you like to hit it hard once a month or twice a month, then you might hit those limits a bit sooner. So you might need to upgrade to the pro plan, which gives you a lot of keyword lists. And my favorite part of the pro plan versus any of the other lower plans is you could track 50 competitors. So you can see what your competitors are up to, how their sales are doing. With the basic plan, I believe you could track 5, and with the free plan, you could only see your own shops. And so keeping an eye on competition is great with the pro plan.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Basically, our free plan is free forever. It's not a free trial, so it's a good thing. SEO is such a massive thing that it takes a little bit to learn. All of this takes a bit to learn, and because everybody does things differently, eRank's quite a large suite of tools, so it's a good thing to sort of focus yourself in, decide, I'm only going to do keyword research, or I'm only going to do this. Learn about it the best you can, and then when you start to feel I need more, then that's time. But you can absolutely do. We would prefer you to spend the time on the free plan, and if you don't like it, you've not spent any money. But hopefully you do like it, you learn, and you stay with us. But start on the free, definitely. But this is a good segue into, we're allowed to talk about something that has just happened. For anybody's interested, this has been asked for ages, and we've finally done it. Little extra button here. For those of you that want it, you can do the monthly as usual, but we have now finally Dramatic, Brian.
I'm one of those people that have been asking for this for many years, probably since day one. Yeah, you can now pay annually. That'll drop down your monthly subscription price, and you get everything that you would get in the monthly plan, of course, that if you paid monthly, of course, except that you are paying for the entire year at once at a discounted rate, and it's just so convenient instead of having to see that money come out every month. It's nice to just pay for it, it's done, and now you can do your research without having to think about it, and you get a discounted rate.
Yep. But I will say, I should have said already, if you haven't used eRank and you're going, should I get free or basic or pro, do not buy an annual plan on a tool that you haven't played around with.
And
Make
that's
sure
with
you
everything. That's with Canva, that's with Creative Fabrica, that's with Photoshop, with anything that you want to do. Always test out free plans, always test out even just like a monthly paid plan, even if it's slightly more, just to see how you like the tool and if it works for you before you lock yourself in for a year at a discounted rate.
Yep. So I think for the last question, I'm going to grab Top Picks question. So they are asking, organic sales drop when I stop ads. I've heard this a whole lot. It is illegal for your position in organic search to be manipulated by whether you have ads or not. So Etsy is not doing that. However, there may be real human psychology reasons for that. Firstly, if you're getting sales from ads, you're getting sales, you're getting reviews, which boosts your experience, your quality scores, which boosts your rankings on Etsy. So that could be a thing. But another thing, if you have an ad and then your organic listing, what happens, sometimes it takes people a few times of seeing something before they buy it. That's why Shein and Temu stalk us all around social media until we finally buy it. So what can happen is somebody sees your ad and then they scroll down and they see your listing, and they go to the next page and they see your ad, and they scroll down and see your listing. They might do this a few times. They might have seen a few times, and they finally click on your organic search listing, but it's because there was ads there. Now, I'm not telling people to get ads, but that just might be a reason why sales drop.
The problem is that it might also happen the other way, where they might see it a whole bunch of times because you have the ads and the organic listings in search, but people might end up clicking on the ad instead. So it looks like your organic traffic has gone down, even though it's just because you put an ad right next to it. So somebody's clicking on the ad, not necessarily the organic listing, which could be right underneath it. So people might, it just might be how people are clicking, not necessarily organic traffic going away, because Etsy can't actually do it, and it wouldn't behoove them to do that. It's just the ad. If someone's searching for dark cottagecore, and you happen to have a listing that would show up in the results, and even if it shows up as result number 1, if you also are running an ad on that, that ad might be in the first bar, because the first bar of results is usually ads. So someone might click on that instead of scrolling down slightly and seeing your listing again. So it's not that organic is going away, it's just that your ad might actually be shown before, or it might just be shown in a way that the user's more likely to click on it. So organic isn't necessarily being impacted. It's just it's not being impacted by Etsy, it's being impacted by user behavior.
Yeah. And the thing, I don't think, we don't recommend you have to do ads. People manage fine without ads. Some people do great with ads. It's a very hit and miss. It depends on your shop. So if you're going to do ads, again, it's an experimentation. So if you find everything is performing significantly better when you're using ads, better enough to cover the cost, absolutely great. If you find it's not working, then don't use it. But always, you get extra data from it. But advertising is like gambling. Don't spend more money than you can afford to lose. You might not get it back.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, I think that is it. If you love this, let us know. Give us a like. Also, we won't see in the chat now because we're going to close that off. But if you come back and pop in the comments what you liked, what you don't like, if you would like to see something like this again, because then we can refine our process. This is the first one of myself and Brian working together on this, and we didn't fight too much, so it's all good.
And you can join us in our Facebook group. Our eRank community is very strong there. If you have any questions, the community helps you. Me, Pam, Debbie, who's been in our moderator in the chat. We're always there to help everybody. And also every Sunday on Reddit, we do a shop critique. So you can pop your shop in there. You can pop it in anytime during the week. It's just refreshed every Sunday. And you'll look for eRank community, and then just pop in your shop. Let us know what you're looking to fix or what you've recently changed, and for us to kind of take a look at it. And one of our team, Jess, myself, or Pam, give like a nice little critique of your shop, your listing, or whatever you need us to take a look at.
And there will be a live on Thursday.
Yep.
We're not going to take away things when we give. This is just a little extra for the week. So if any haven't seen, every Thursday, either myself and Brian or Starla or any of the rest of the team will be on live to answer your questions as well. So a little bit more, I was going to say more relaxed. I think we're pretty relaxed, but without slides. We'll be doing this again, but without slides.
Fair. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day, morning,
Bye.
night, whatever time it is.
It wasn't easy, no, but with eRank, we're trending now. I dreamed of topping all the charts. I wanted sales to blow up. Remember long nights crafting, no one clicking on my stuff.